Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Noah.
And Alyssa.
Nice. And today we are going to do a tour of my hometown, Martelsville, Oklahoma.
Our hometown.
Just mine. You've never lived here.
I've actually lived here
Technically,
longer.
I don't live here.
Yeah, you don't even live here.
I live just outside of city limits, so technically I don't live in Martelsville. She does, but we've lived here the same amount of time.
No, I've lived here 5 months more than you.
Oh, well, I lived here a year longer because you went off to college, and I went to 2-year college here to save some money.
Again, you have lived not in this city almost your entire life.
Valid.
So if you're going to use that, then I technically lived here because it was my address was here still.
All right. So, we just went and washed my windows so that you all could see out, and we're just gonna go drive around, look at some major points in my childhood, tell some stories, and just show you around the town, show you some of the cool things in like a slightly urbanized town, like slightly. So let's get started.
So right now we are coming up on the mall that is very slowly dying. Every few months another store goes out of business. Well, sorry, it was towards the mall and then somebody turned.
Here,
get your arm out of the way.
Well, I've got danglies. I'm moving them.
Okay, well, there's not a lot to see right now. We're just driving by.
So, yeah.
Oh, did Dillard's already close? Oh, no, there's a lot of people there. There's all the people on the store that I thought already closed.
So a lot of the stores are either going out of business because retail is failing in our modern economy, or just because our mall is just incredibly unsuccessful.
It used to be a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is for some of these stores, but yeah, we're down to a couple like really small stores. Like we've got like a candy store that just opened, but that one won't last long.
No.
We've got a movie theater, and that's the only one in town. So that's the main reason that no one wants the mall to close, because they know that means that that's the end of movies in Martelsville.
Which is one of the only sources of entertainment that this town has.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is and we used to have multiple movie theaters. Even in my lifetime, we had another one, but it closed.
Yeah.
And it used to be like, it used to get all the movies once they came to DVD. I think it would just buy the DVDs and air them. I'm sure it had the legal rights to, because they're not supposed to like distribute them. But I think that's all it did. There's our movie theater, Movies 8.
Movies 8.
And yeah, that's about all we've got. And even then, they are one of the movie theaters that are very expensive. I know a lot of other places have expensive movie theaters, but around us, it's pretty common for movies to be $5 to $7. They're $10.
Or even have a student discount for us to use.
Yeah, that one's just super expensive. So now we are coming up on our right to a very lame restaurant, but one of the most popular in Martelsville, McAllister's. Like I said, it's a chain. Everyone knows about it, but we eat a lot. I do, and everyone does. And then, of course,
there's Taco Bueno rib.
But apparently it's closed. Alyssa and I just recently heard about this.
It's so sad. We used to eat there all the time last summer.
They closed during the initial wave of coronavirus, so we assumed that that meant that they'd open back up, but unfortunately they did not. And then on our left again, the rest of the mall, I drove all the way around, and pretty much what you saw from the outside is most of what we still have. Dunham's is one of our newest things. I don't know why they came in. That's
pretty popular too. I think that's one of the stores that's keeping the mall functioning. That and Bath and Body Works.
And Buffalo Wild Wings. There is a GameStop in there, and fun fact, that was my second job. We will see my first job later. But yeah, I worked at GameStop as basically an assistant manager for about 4 months.
So this isn't really interesting or anything, but one time I was at the Jimmy John's, which is to the right, and that little Phillips 66 gas station, that boat just drove in front of it.
The boat just drove in front of it.
Yeah,
we've got water canals also in Martelsville.
Yeah, we do. trying to tell my story that you told me to tell.
Sorry.
Anyway, and I just see like flames coming up, and it turns out the car wash that it had just caught on fire randomly. They don't really know what happened, but
The car wash did?
Yeah, the car wash caught on fire. Yeah.
Ironic.
So,
Here a little to our left, we have Homeland,
which used to be a food pyramid, and then it turned into. Oh, it used to be an Albertsons, then it turned into a food pyramid. Now it's a Homeland.
Yeah, it's just one of the many grocery stores we have. We do seem to have a lot of grocery stores, but despite being the only town nearby that has a Walmart, a lot of those smaller chains seem to do pretty well. This right here was the canteen.
Yeah, I didn't get very much of it.
Yeah, sorry, I thought of it real quick. The canteen was basically a place that they used to let like middle school age kids come, and they'd have like dances for them. So I have lots of wonderful memories of going to the canteen. One that I'm going to particularly tell is this road's closed. Did not know that. Whenever I was in middle school was around the time that Gangnam Style, never mind, it's not closed, was popular. And so my choir teacher, because I was in choir for 4 years of my schooling career, he was one of the chaperones to the dance. And he decided, well, he was out there, and so I walk up to him and I'm like, do you know the dance? And he said no. And so I taught him the dance to Gangnam Style while it played. And we had a ton of people watching, and even though it sounds really stupid, and it kind of is, it was definitely one of those things that I look back at fondly, because it's just so cool to have teachers that would be willing to do that, whereas I feel like some teachers would just blow you off. It was really cool to see him take the time and actually do it with us, especially when he's not a teacher I would have expected to do something like that. And I know I've got a lot of stories, and I'll pass it back to Alyssa soon, hopefully. But right here is my old elementary school.
And I have a side note on this. Did you guys notice all the nice houses around here? It's because where all the rich kids go.
Yeah, that's what she always says.
That's what I always say. It's not actually the truth.
I was a transfer student, so so that's not necessarily me, though I'm not going to deny that I have been very privileged in my life. But yeah, that I was a transfer student, and that's just where I happened to get placed.
Yeah, but even though he's, 30 minutes away?
That was my elementary school, and I don't have necessarily any good stories. We actually, while we were driving, I'm going to turn around so we can get back on the route I was taking, but there was one of these houses over here, I won't point out for obvious reasons, but there was actually this lady that lived there, and she would frequently come and volunteer at the school, and every day after school she'd stand outside, she'd have a little like karaoke machine, and she'd just sing. She'd sing and dance around it. She's a very nice woman. I've went and talked to her since, just to tell her like that I still remember her, and that she's still, she meant a lot to my childhood, just because she was always so friendly and welcoming to everyone at the school. So that's Wayside / that lady / the canteen.
Coming up on the right is a place called the Duck Pond, which, now you can hear about the people see it. There you go. Yeah, and so basically it just has a bunch of geese. I don't even know if there's actually any ducks that really live there. But, I don't know. People would just go here to hang out during lunches and stuff. And there's no really good stories about that unless Noah has any. I don't have any. I was late in high school.
Any good ones, except for I am going to add, while we got the camera rolling, I apologize for all of the stuff. We washed it off, but the outside still has some, and even now that I'm looking, when we're in the sun, the inside looks like it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just don't have anything with me to clean the inside of my car windows, so you're going to deal. But since we're here...
Oh, I was going to say, talk about the roundabout. Were you going to talk about the roundabout?
No, hurry though.
Okay, well that was our only roundabout in the town that they just put in, so we could say we had a roundabout.
This was where I first got a job.
He loved it.
I first started working at the country club, which I know sounds like a very oh wow, you work at... Why are so many people there? Coronavirus, people! This is what I deal with in Martelsville. It sounds like it'd be like a really fancy place to work at, but no, I made minimum wage. I was treated like poo-poo, and I quit as soon as I could, which unfortunately was after a year and about a half. So I was there for a long time, because I just didn't want to upset the status quo, apparently. But I really loved it, like in retrospect, but not while I was there. Retrospect, I have some good memories.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the window does look horrible.
Yeah, I know. I made some good friends while I was there, and it definitely just was like nice to work outside sometimes when it was really pleasant, but also sometimes it'd be like raining and I had to go pick stuff up. Or one day I did go in and I think it snowed, but it snowed midday, so that meant that people had already hit balls on the driving range, so we were closed because it snowed, but I had to go in and pick up all the balls because there were already some hit. So yeah, it was fine. It was a fine job. So I'm done with it. That's all I care about. But yeah, that was a country club. Okay, so we are coming up right there. Is an entrance to Pathfinder, which is basically a big walk that goes around the whole town, which makes us sound like we're tiny. It's not the whole town, but it's a really long walkway.
A very large portion of it goes through all the parks.
There's kids over there. I obviously don't want them in it. My brother's over there. No, that doesn't look like that's a band. Otherwise, Ty would be.
Show where we used to park.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had it really low on your face.
But what I was gonna say about the Pathfinder was that down that way, and it's definitely not me trying to like brag or anything, but there's this bench that was put in, and it was put in by some of my friends and I, and it was because we had a student at our school unfortunately commit suicide that really affected us in such a small town. And I mean, we probably had a graduating class of 300 to 400.
365.
365. So, yeah, it was really hard for such a small community, though. And so, and I can't say I personally knew him, but a lot of people came together and helped put a bench down there that memorializes him. And I just wanted to mention that because it's not something I'm necessarily proud of because I want to talk about myself. I'm proud of it because of what it means to me and to the community, which sounds very self-important, but it just means a lot, I feel, and I hope it meant a lot to the family too. I didn't get to talk to them, but some of my friends did, and from what I know, I think it did. But to get on a less grim note, we are now at the school. This is the high school. We always parked right at the end. There's this huge parking
That was Noah's spot.
There's this huge parking. Well, there's no line anymore, so actually this is all one spot now. I'm pretty sure. I think one of the lines.
Let me get out.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I couldn't see it. Go ahead. But I had one really large spot that I'd always park in. It was about a spot and a half.
So I'm currently standing in what Noah's spot was. It goes from that grass to where his tires are. I don't know if you can see the line, but his tires are right on the line. And in the middle where he's parked was his ex-girlfriend's spot. And then this was my spot. This whole area. And this, stop looking at me.
Just watch it.
And this parking lot, which is pretty big, but I mean, it always got really crowded, but it always used to flood so bad. Anytime it rained, it just get really, just a ton of water in it. And this corner, specifically the one of course we parked in, was always one of the worst. That in the back far left corner or whatever.
And I had the best friends because once my car was gonna get flooded, and her and my ex-girlfriend moved it for me.
Yes, right.
So,
it was my idea.
So
I literally got a call. Like, I got called out of class because they were like, everyone in that corner needs to go, that has a car under, I guess, whatever height, has to go move their car right now. Otherwise, it's going to flood.
Which mine was fine, and I said, don't worry about it, but everyone's
It wasn't. It was to the door. It was to the bottom of the door. My car was basically already almost flooded. Her car was pretty close, too, and his was to the bottom of his door. So it's a good thing we moved it. Anyway, I was soaked. The water was up to above my knees, and it was awful. It was freezing. It was raining really hard. That was a crappy day. But yeah, sometimes it would do that on weekends, and people would bring their big trucks out here and put on like rafts and drive through the parking lot with rafts, or like kayak out here because it was so deep, and so that was always funny.
Yeah, unfortunately it came from the Katy River, which is where wastewater is deposited, so it was also wastewater.
Yeah, well, the one that when it was up here, it wasn't. That was just from rain, because it wouldn't move this way. It would get here and here and meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So the one where we were wasn't quite yet.
Yeah.
But my finger was over the camera a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So that's the actual high school. A better view of the front. Well, I guess this is technically the back. That's where the freshman entrance is.
Yeah.
The upperclassmen and sophomores all have to go on the other side, but we always wanted
Am I in this?
I don't think so. There's our nasty football field.
Wave to my brother who
is he over there?
in band. Yeah, this is our football stadium. Big deal for, small town in Oklahoma. Not for Noah and Alyssa.
No, I am actively against our sports teams
yeah,
here.
It's not a big deal to either of us.
Brand new tennis courts, and by brand new I mean like they're new our senior year or something. But
no, I think it was like junior. So
okay,
they're like four.
Off.
They're a couple years.
They're
old.
still pretty new.
Yeah, definitely.
They messed them up the first time they did them. They made the actual courts too close together.
They were regulation.
Yeah, they had to be redone.
Yeah,
this is where we saw the eclipse, or I did at least.
I was over by the Martelsville High School sign over there. Let's see.
There's our front
stories.
entrance.
There's tons of good stories I can tell about the high school, but I don't have any particular that I want to mention.
It's where I met Noah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, that's not technically true, but
where I found my soulmate.
It's true for the most part. That was cute.
Yeah. Best thing I got is that I used to be on the journalism staff at the school, and I absolutely loved it. Well, no, we already said that's where we met. The next good story is that's where I used to be in journalism. Ooh. And you keep going, ooh, when you are recording. What are you doing?
It keeps like moving suddenly, but I thought I moved it, but it was actually just the sun glaring really bad on you.
Yeah, so I was editor-in-chief in my senior year. Best experience I've ever had in my life. Amazing that I didn't follow journalism into college, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do full time. But yeah, amazing experience that I genuinely. Actually, we're gonna go this way. Sorry, person behind me. But yeah, actually, I would never trade that experience. It was one of those things I just loved, and I'm very fortunate to have done it.
Yeah, he even spoke at a little assembly that we had. He was the person who spoke at it.
Yeah, it was the graduation ceremony, or like assembly for seniors. It wasn't for the whole school, so it wasn't actually graduation. It was just for the senior class to watch. So yeah, I was speaking at that for whatever that's worth. Right to your left, not right.
Well, to the right is a.
Well,
whatever.
soon.
Yeah.
This is Frank Phillips' home. He was a guy who lived here, businessman.
Pretty big businessman.
Yeah, he started an oil company.
And he's like not the founder of the town, but essentially.
Yeah. He's a big name here, but that was his home. Extravagant as always, but not as extravagant as it could be.
Yeah, there are definitely bigger, more extravagant mansions in Martelsville.
And then to our right is my middle school. Alyssa and I didn't go to the same middle school. That's Central Middle School. Love Central. That was a good place, and those tables out front, man, some good memories happened around there. Love going to that school. I really can say that.
Are you done?
Oh yeah, go tell that.
So around town we have these little bison statues that are all painted, and there's quite a few of them. A lot of people here go like on bison scavenger hunts to find them all, because they're pretty neat, and they just represent a few different things around town. I don't know what specifically those two represent, but
Yeah,
they represent something.
Some of them are themed. I feel like some of them are like people could contribute money, but yeah. And then this is our community center. Nothing interesting happens here. We get some good musicals. We do have, if you see that stage in the back over there, that is a new addition to our town, and it's just a little outdoor gathering area, which is kind of nice. And I'll go back to talk about the community center, but to the left is the library. We're about to pass the library. I'll talk about the tower later.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get back. I have a plan. But that's the library right there.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the... so yeah, we have that new area. We have the community center. The community center is we get a lot of musicals, which is nice. We get some minor concerts, a lot of Christian concerts being in the Bible Belt. But I've seen Gordon Lightfoot there, which was a random one. So, I mean, we randomly will get cool things.
We once saw a Beatles cover band.
Yeah, and then your brother
he
was so jealous that he bought tickets to a show that was like an hour away and drove to it.
So at this stoplight, back whenever I had my first car, which was just it was my sister's car, but she was in England for a year, so I was driving it. Well, it sucked. It was a Dodge Neon 2005, and the brakes didn't work all the time. And these stoplights, and there's 3 in a row that are all really close together, and they switch all pretty close to the same time. So I ran that light because I wasn't able to brake, and I had to pull into that Sonic. Well, I was going to pull into the Sonic anyway, but I had to pull in there and like calm down because I'd almost died, and my horn didn't work, so I couldn't like alert anybody that I was coming. It was just a mess. I was actually on my way to go see Noah, and his ex-girlfriend who had just got her wisdom teeth out, and it was a mess. I was freaking out. It was so scary.
Yeah, luckily she's out of that car and into a little more efficient car.
Definitely.
And before we cut this video off, I want to say that if anyone actually did decide to listen to Jack Settle's debut EP, his song Middle of Somewhere, he is from Martelsville, so it's about the town. And right here to the left is the Washington County Jail, and again, I won't show his house, obviously. But he did live near the Washington County Jail. We just crossed the train tracks, so when he says the wrong side of the rails, this is typically, unfortunately, the lower end, not necessarily a higher crime area. Martelsville's fairly low on crime, mainly just like petty theft and that kind of stuff. Very little like serious stuff. But that was his joke in the song. So so now you know he literally did live near the Washington County Jail, in the middle of somewhere, which is a pretty good place to describe it.
Yeah, it is. That's such a good song. It's hilarious, especially if you're from Martelsville. Obviously, you don't get it quite as much, but it's so funny. It's just hilarious how accurate it is.
Yep, and in just a minute, we will show you the big moneymaker for Martelsville.
Coming up, that's not it. It's around the corner still. Just kidding. I don't even know. Okay, so that little building right there, the green. Yeah,
this is Coach. Happy birthday, Coach Lori.
Am I even getting it? Yes, I am. That's a gymnastics building, and I took gymnastics in kindergarten for probably a year, and then I quit to go to ballet. But that's where I did gymnastics at. And didn't your dad say he did gymnastics too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did gymnastics there too.
Yeah. To our left here, we've got the big money maker in Martelsville. It is ConocoPhillips / Phillips 66. One handles the production of oil. One is like I don't know. I'm not an oil guy. I don't care. But I'm pausing here because I got a lot of stories to tell around the area. But that is the big money maker, unfortunately, because Alyssa and I are all for being eco-friendly, and it is unfortunate, but it is what gives most of this town any kind of life. And I'd love to see it change, but at this moment, it would kill too many people because there's just not enough jobs, and the reason that anyone's here is the oil. If the oil places shut down, then Bartlesville would go under. So while I absolutely want to see society progress in a more eco-conscious way, I do understand. I can't get too mad at ConocoPhillips because while they're a huge, corporation that's doing bad things, they are keeping a town that, while I can't say I love, I do like it a bit. So it keeps it alive. We're actually at United, another grocery store. As I said earlier, we have a lot of random grocery stores.
Got it.
And while we're here, because there were a lot of other things around, back at that stoplight where I turned right, when she was talking about her gymnastics, if you had turned left, you'd be heading out to Woolaroc. So Woolaroc. It is like a cool nature reserve owned by Frank Phillips, also the founder of ConocoPhillips, yeah. And she wanted me to point out that we were driving on Frank Phillips. So as I said, cornerstone to the community and culture of Martelsville. Yes. But Woolaroc is this really awesome place. It was another house he had, basically basically a country house, and he had a bunch of animals on it, and it's really cool to go out there. There's a lot less animals than there used to be.
Oh, for sure.
But he used to have all kinds of stuff, and now, obviously, in retrospect, a lot of the things he tried to raise there do not fit into that environment.
Not at all.
But he did, I think that probably there wasn't a ton of science on that, I'd imagine, at that time. So,
no, definitely not.
So not necessarily faulting him, but yeah, so there, because he raised, there was a giraffe out there at one point.
Elephant.
The elephant never lived there.
Oh, I thought there
I don't think he ever had an elephant living there, but I think he did have a tiger and all of these things would just roam free. He just let him go and would just let him live on his property. Really cool place.
Say giraffe?
Yeah. It's a really cool place. If anyone was ever in the area, it's a must-see. One of the few must-sees in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible place. And I've been there multiple times, and I still love going there. I've been there my whole life, at least once a year. Typically more than once a year. Probably at least twice a year. And I love it. So yeah, it's a very cool place. Highly recommended. Yeah, lots of cool stuff out there. He stuffed a lot of the animal heads, which so you get to see some of the stuff, hear some of the stories about them. Really interesting thing. It's pretty cool to go check out. So yeah, that's Woolaroc.
Also, Woolaroc is actually the first place that Noah and I ever really met. So we had met in passing, brief passing, didn't even talk to each other our freshman year. But the summer after...
Look at her being the romantic, whereas I just tell you to go check out the elephant heads.
He loves his elephants. The summer after, we had to do volunteer hours, and my best friend, which was also his now ex-girlfriend, her dad was doing something out at Woolaroc for a kids day, and so she had me and him come with her. And that was the first time I ever really met Noah. We were in charge of the Paint a Rock station.
True.
He found a plastic toy frog and dipped it in red paint, and he was a super weirdo. It was very weird. I was super confused by him.
And yet
I decided to keep him around.
Decided to date me. I don't know what I did right.
Yeah, and somehow within the next year we became best friends. So
to the left here, you don't have to show it. Just if you turn left up here, you go out to Osage Hills, which it has some ties to me and Alyssa's relationship, just to prove I'm a romantic too. But I'm not going to tell about them. That makes it sound very inappropriate. It's not really inappropriate. It's just something. It's something I'm keeping personal. Not inappropriate. It has ties to our relationship too, so just to prove it, I am a romantic. And so...
Did you say it was a state park?
Yeah, it's a state park. I didn't say that, but it
is. They just recently started charging for it to get in. It used to be free, and there's tennis courts, there's a lake out there, there's a bunch of hiking trails, an outlook thing, camping. So it is also one of the few things that a lot of teenagers like to go do, or at least they did when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And but now they charge. So.
There's a couple of those like makeout spots. If you headed out towards Wool Rock, you'd head towards Misty Mountain, which is now under heavy surveillance, but it used to be a big place for people to go and make out.
Where did that come from, OC?
You were just saying it was a hangout spot for kids.
Yeah.
So, so big makeout spot, definitely. I'm trying to remember what road it is, but I'm seeming to blank, so I'm thinking where this is going to fail. Because one of these roads heads out to where I used to live, and whenever we were driving on that road, there was this house, and I actually maybe right up here, and then you know where I'm going.
No, I don't.
Oh, yes you do.
I don't think
well,
I do.
there was a house, which again I probably shouldn't show it, but this one's a little funnier. That didn't have a door. And yeah, I just passed it. I did find it. I guess I didn't need to drive over here. I could have just said I told you about it. But it had no door. It was just a piece of wood, which obviously I understand that more meant poverty. But it's easy to make fun of because it also was a spot that my family and I, as we drove by, got shot at with a BB gun. They shot at our car a couple times. I don't think it did any damage, but it's a good story. And I was like a child, so obviously a little scary to have an infant being shot at. So that's my story.
This is completely unrelated. Oop, there it goes again. Completely unrelated. But a few years after we moved into my house in my new neighborhood, I was about 9. My brother, he's 3, so he would have been about 6. We had some neighbors down the street who shot their own dad's van with their BB guns. And for some reason they didn't like Zach that much, and I don't know what caused it, but a police officer showed up at our house, and he goes, "We got a complaint that your son was shooting BB guns at this man's car." And my mom goes, "He does not own a BB gun. He has probably never shot one either." So that just reminded me of that, how my brother now has gotten the cops called on him almost, well, I guess not quite, but at least once.
Yeah.
For things he didn't do.
Yeah.
Are we going to be driving by there later? I'll tell that story too.
No, I didn't plan on it.
Oh, okay.
You can go ahead and tell it.
Okay, well, so last summer my brother worked at the fireworks stand that's here, Jake's Fireworks, just as a little part-time job over the summer. Well, he has really big curly hair, he has a lot of hair, and it's super curly and brown. And so on Facebook, some lady on the classifieds thing that we have for here posted a thing saying that a kid at the high school had sold her a fake iPhone, and she posted a picture of the person that the profile that sold it to her. And so, are you gonna pull in?
Yep.
Okay. So I thought the name sounded familiar. I didn't even pay attention to the picture, but the name sounded familiar. I was like, oh, my brother might know this person. So I went into the comments, and somebody had commented and said, "I think that kid works at Jake's. I saw him there today." And I look at the picture, and I suddenly realize this kid looks almost exactly like my brother. And they think it's him. It's not a picture of my brother, but it looks so similar. And so I texted my sister. I was like, these people think it's Zach. They're going to call the cops on him. He's not going to know what's going on. And that was just, my mom ended up having to contact the people to tell them that it wasn't him that did it. And we texted him at work, and we're like, if the cops show up, don't worry about it, it's not you. Or if this guy comes and starts asking for you, But that was a whole ordeal last year over the 4th of July. People thinking he sold this random person a fake iPhone.
True. Weird
Okay.
story. To your left is a Sinclair Station. That's your right.
That's
This is a Sinclair Station, which I know people know, but it doesn't have a dinosaur in front of it. And
which most of them don't now.
I stupidly asserted that all of them still do, and Alyssa's been roasting me ever since. To your right is Murphy's Steakhouse. Looks awful because it's an incredibly old restaurant, but it is a very popular Martelsville staple.
Oh, for sure.
They are famous for their hot hamburgers, bread, burger, fries, and gravy over that. They are incredibly famous for it. I used to love it, obviously.
It used
vegetarian.
to be his favorite place.
I thankfully am vegetarian now, but that's not to say that I do not like their gravy still. They got some good gravy, that's for sure.
He was so obsessed with their brown gravy that for his 10th grade birthday party, his birthday party that he had in 10th grade, I literally went and bought him a cup of it. I went to Murphy's and bought a cup and gave it to him for his birthday.
So, as you can see here, not to totally cut off our story, but as you can see, we're in the lower class area. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned a couple times, Martelsville does have a lot of income inequality, I'd say. It's just because if there's any problem in quotation marks that Martelsville has, is there are drugs, a little bit of drug problems, so that we do have a few addicts. And it's also a really historic town, a really old town, without a ton of money. So while a lot of people do have the money to make incredible things, like we'll see in a little bit, unfortunately this area is more of it's the older side, it's the more lower class side, which is really unfortunate. And there have been steps to make it a little better, not necessarily like gentrification, because there's all kinds of problems with gentrification, but more just make it more livable. But unfortunately, some of these communities down here are really rocked by low income, which is really, really unfortunate. Something that I wish Martelsville had a better hold of. So now we are coming into downtown Martelsville, the big deal in Martelsville, because there's nothing else to do. So downtown at least has a couple things. I am kind of going to drive this route crazy because I don't know what the best way would be to drive it. To just show off some of the stuff. On our left is the old train station, and we do have a train down there. That's all I have to say about that. It's just a train to look at. Right here at the corner of this is actually where I used to get my hair cut. They're not there anymore. And on our right is a really great bakery, 3 Kids and a Cake. I've only had it a couple times, but they cater to just about any diet you'd need, vegan, gluten-free, and it's actually fairly affordable, I'd say, for a bakery, especially for a bakery that can cater to such strict dietary needs. So yeah, I absolutely love it. And since we're downtown, I'm kind of just wanting to keep the video rolling so that we can just kind of show off all the downtown, because while downtown is not necessarily interesting in it from a shopping perspective, I cannot deny it is a pretty neat looking place. I really like how it looks.
This is where a lot of people take their prom pictures.
True, yes.
I took my senior prom pictures here.
Yeah, that is a big prom picture place.
Oh, sorry, just got your face in it.
You're fine. To our right's a couple of good, famous restaurants for us. Painted Horse. Boomerang is a chain in the area, but still, it's a pretty successful chain. Not much to really say here. Here's like a park for, around they call it Phillips building. Phillips does have a lot of building. This is more where their corporate offices are.
They cut down all the trees in that little park area because they were tired of birds pooping all over the place. So they just decided, let's just cut down the trees.
I did not know about this.
I did.
Okay, well, it looks like I hit the end of the road for us.
Yes.
Luckily, not a ton down there for us to look at, but we're going to have to backtrack so you guys get to see a couple of things twice. I used to take karate in one of these corporate buildings.
I used to take swim lessons in there.
Nice. Yeah, that's where the gyms and that kind of stuff are that they provide for all their employees. So Phillips. Yeah, my family has worked at ConocoPhillips, or Phillips 66, or whichever one. I never keep up with one. I never keep up with one, which one they're currently employed by.
That sign says ConocoPhillips still, so.
Well, ConocoPhillips is still here.
Yes, I know.
Is that not a ConocoPhillips?
Well, I thought it was Conoco and Phillips 66.
That might be true.
It is. I think it's Conoco and Phillips 66. They were combined. Anyway, yeah, that was where prom was.
Yep.
And maybe the 9th grade formal or something.
Can't say I had a good prom there.
Neither can I.
Moving show around some stuff. You wanna?
Oh, that was really fast. Sorry.
Nothing too interesting down that direction. I'm again mainly just wanting to show off some of this area because while it's not like anything special, it is a cute little downtown area. Definitely where a lot of our shops are. So it's an okay place. It's not the most ugly part of Martelsville. As you can see, we both are kind of lukewarm on Martelsville.
They put a mask on it.
Nice.
That one has disco ball balls.
Yeah, its ball sack is studded.
Yeah.
Let's see. Up to our left, we have Easy's. Not that interesting of a place, but it is a nice little breakfast place.
It's pretty good.
I've only been there once. And to our right,
oh my,
is RSU, Rogers State University.
This is Bartlesville campus.
Yes, this is the 2-year college that I went to for a year. Again, it was a cheap, affordable way for me to, go. So I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate that I was able to go. And it was a perfectly fine experience for me. I definitely, there were downsides, there were upsides, but it saved me some money, and that's the exciting part.
So this tower, which I now can't get a very good view of, but it was in the background earlier.
Lean towards my side.
It was built by Lloyd Wright, which is actually a pretty big, architect. He's super famous. We learned about him in my art class at OSU, and she didn't even teach about that building specifically, but that he's that big that he was taught about. But that's one of his buildings that he built, and there's not really a lot in it. There's art shows that get showed there, and there's a pretty nice restaurant and maybe hotel at the top, I think. But yeah, it's a famous Bartlesville building.
Yes, it is actually pretty neat inside. I'll admit,
yeah.
It's a pretty cool inside because it's so uniquely designed. It's a hotel now, so it's got a lot of really unique, the rooms themselves are just so fascinating, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I've only been in it a couple times, even living here, because I have had no reason to go. But you guys are probably recognizing some scenery. I'm kind of having to jaunt in and out of the downtown area because of road closures or poor planning. I'd say poor planning may have been the bigger detriment of this. I think there's only one major thing I want to show you left in the downtown area. But yeah, a lot of this may seem very mundane to you, but it's definitely what me and Alyssa, at least Noah, would call home. I mean, it's nothing special. It definitely gets boring at all times, but it's where we live. So for that, I definitely am sentimental for it, and I do have some appreciation for it, I guess.
Is it turn lane only?
I'm turning right here, though.
Oh. Why?
You'll see.
That's not where I thought you were gonna go. But
I'm gonna loop around to the other place. But see, she got me. She knew what I was doing. Well, she didn't know what I was doing, but she knew the next place we'd be going. So right to your right is Pies and Such. Nice little bakery. Oh no! I have the thing where you sneeze when you see the sun, so let's hope this doesn't continue. But on the absolute right, which we'll just glance at since there's people outside, it is Frank and Lola's, another big deal for Bartlesville. A very popular place. that a lot of people like to go to. Unfortunately, there's people outside and eating there, but whatever. Here's the baseball stadium.
It's where they shoot off fireworks for the 4th of July.
And I don't know anything else interesting that happens there.
Nope.
I'm sure there's baseball games, but I don't know about them.
There's the YMCA, which I used to be employed by. I didn't actually work there, but I was employed.
And I don't think I want to go down this way, but down that way is Kitty Park.
You don't want to show them the kitty park?
Fine.
The kitty park is such a big Bartlesville thing.
I thought you were about to call it a bop.
No, it's definitely no. My brother used to work there. He hated his life.
He did not think it was a bop.
No, he definitely regretted it every single day.
Yeah, so Kitty Park is just a... Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Kitty Park is just a small little amusement park for kids.
It's open right now.
It's a cute little place. Yeah, unfortunately it's open, and I bet if we looked in there, we could make fun of everyone there because they're not wearing a mask.
It just has a bunch of really crappy, rundown rides.
I can say from my glance over there, I see no one wearing a mask. So awesome.
Lovely.
Awesome sign. Oh, I guess this was a good thing.
Yeah.
We've got a big oil derrick here. I think that this was like the first place they struck gold.
Yeah.
Struck gold.
Yeah, in the oil town.
Yeah, struck oil. Here, what's its name? The
Nellie Johnstone.
Yeah, Nellie Johnstone. So yeah, I think it's been it's still here. They've made it a little more permanent.
Was that also Frank Phillips, or was that someone by the last name of Johnstone?
Beats me.
I bet it was Frank Phillips. I think it is. I think it's featured at Willow Rock as
Probably.
his.
I'm pretty big on Martelsville history, or I used to be, but some of that stuff's just faded from my memory. And I'm driving over here. I know we won't really be able to see it. I'm not. Yeah, we got parked to our left, but over here, kind of over by where that gazebo is on the right, you almost definitely won't be able to see it from here.
Oh yeah.
But there, because it's too foresty, but there is some bricks there over in that area, and those bricks are the remains of the Bartles Mill, which, if the name rings a bell, it is what Bartlesville is named after. Jacob Bartles. He had a mill there, and that's all I can say about him. I don't even, for being the founder, I know very little about him. So
Yeah, he's just the founder of Bartlesville, and that's it.
Yeah.
But this park is actually, so every winter, Bartlesville has a little light show, their drive-through light show that's pretty neat. It's just cute. It's free to the public. They ask for donations. They give you a little candy can at the end. Sometimes dog treats if you have dogs, but that's where they take their donations. But it's the fantasy.
They upgraded it.
Yeah, they have.
They got it off the ground, probably because it kept flooding.
Probably, yeah. This area floods all the
Because
time.
right here to the left, I know you can't really see
Yeah.
it, but the river that's over here is the
I
Caney
got it
River.
a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I saw you do it. Yeah,
There's a
this
train.
area is the Caney River. Yeah, that's a train for Kitty Park.
It almost tips over on the corner. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they've got a little tunnel, which is where all the kids scream.
Yeah, everyone
It's
screams in the
cute.
tunnel.
It's cute. It's fun. It's definitely a fun place for families to take their little kids. But like after you're above the age of 8, I think you're kind of grown out of it, which is probably the unfortunate part.
Yeah, this little corner of the track is where it almost tips every single time, and they always have to go really slowly, otherwise it might just tip over.
So, to your left, with all these fences, and soon you'll see the front, is the wastewater treatment plant. Yay! It's gross, as you'd imagine. It's very close to everyone, like to people, to residential areas. There's houses on the other side. Kind of strange. But yeah, I've toured it for an environmental science class I had to take. So I had to stand above the people of Bartlesville's feces. That was fun. But yeah, so that's the wastewater plant.
This is the school that I worked at all throughout high school, doing the same thing that Noah and I do now. It's Wilson, but I was just an assistant then instead of the supervisor, but I just watch kids after school, and that's about it. I drove down this one of the main roads of Bartlesville, Tuxedo, every single day to get to work, which is the road that's straight ahead.
So while we're on the camera, I'll say the one place I know I'm not going to be able to show just because of the route I have planned out, is Gans Mall, which is like the main place for me to buy any kind of music. There's a couple vendors there. It's just not an antique store, flea market. And so there's a couple vendors there that sell records and CDs. It's about the only place in Martelsville that I can get anything like that. Very disappointing. Yeah, there's nowhere in Martelsville that like really specifically focuses on those things. So that's really the only way to get your hands on any of it. So yeah, Gans Mall is pretty cool. I mean, it's still a cool place, good antique store, but it's just, or not antique store, flea market. It's just unfortunately not a like a music store. So that's the downside. So what you want to tell them about what's coming up on the left?
On the left is the main park in Bartlesville, Sooner Park. There's a mini golf course, there's tennis courts.
Which they've seen us play mini golf on
Yes, we played the mini golf there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a big park. It has an updated playground. It has a little pond where there's a bunch of crawfish in there. It has this thing called the band shell, which you can kind of see.
Yeah,
well, now it's
just
over,
the little
over the
cement
hill
thing over there.
Okay, well, you can't see it now because of the hill, but it was. And then
does
there's
have this tower.
that little tower. It used to be really rusty and disgusting, and they redid it.
You weren't allowed on it. They fixed it up.
Now you can go on it, and there's a pool back there, Sooner Pool. That's the public. Yeah, there's an Olympic-sized swimming pool there.
And there, you want to point out Madison?
So in this, that's not Madison. So in this empty plot of land, yeah. True.
That big empty space that we passed
was where I went to middle school. It was so old they tore it down, and they replaced. So we used to have our high school split up into a freshman and sophomore at that one building that you could see in the background, and then junior and senior at the high school that we showed earlier. But our sophomore year they combined them all.
Yep.
So that they tore down my old middle school and then made that one the new middle school.
Yep. So she can never revisit Madison.
Not that I'd want to. It had asbestos
yeah.
in it, and after they tore it down, it was actually like illegal to go in it or by it without like a hazmat suit. Anyway, this is where I currently work. That's all I gotta say about that.
She works as not a vet tech, but
veterinary assistant.
Yeah, and then on the right is the best donut place in town. Wonderful guy, Grayson.
He is a ray of sunshine in the morning.
Grayson's Donut Holes. That's the place to go, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
It's delicious. But yeah, that's Alyssa's current employer.
Yep, and that sign on the door was to let people know to knock and to call, or knock or call whenever they get there, and not come in, and certainly not without a mask. And every day people ignore it, and it's great. I love it.
Up here is Casey's. That's my main gas station.
It's not mine.
There's another Homeland. On the left, there's a dispensary. We have tons of dispensaries in Bartlesville.
That yellow building is Thirsties. It's been here for years. It's just a little drink stop.
Yeah, we have a ton of dispensaries in Bartlesville.
So many.
Oklahoma recently allowed medical marijuana, and now it is everywhere. We've got a ton. All of Oklahoma has a ton. It's insane. So yeah, that's one of them. And now we are heading off to Alyssa's elementary school to go take a little look-see at Alyssa's elementary school.
Mm-hmm. We also passed another elementary school, Hoover, right by when I was talking about Madison and stuff. That's where we did summer camp. So I worked at Wilson in the fall and spring, and then in the summer we moved it all to Hoover. And then one summer we moved it to Ranch Heights, is where I went to school. But
this is gonna be a huge video.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we're gonna have a couple. Yeah, I know. There's a couple houses, but then we're passing Alyssa's elementary school.
That red sign is where it is. It was the biggest elementary school in town. It had the biggest playground. It had the most students, and it wasn't just full of rich kids.
I got turned away from there. That's where I was transferring to. I tried to transfer here, and they said, "Sorry, we're full."
Yeah.
And
so I could have met Noah years, but I went there all 7 years, pre-K through 5th grade. I'm the only one out of my siblings who did so. I used to be really proud of it. It was back when I loved Bartlesville Public Schools.
And something changed.
And then something changed, and that something was the new superintendent.
So, we did pass we're getting some other things we're not going to pass. My favorite Tex-Mex restaurant, because I mean, it's definitely not just Mexican. Tex-Mex restaurant, Senor Salsa. We will be
Also,
going by
big
that.
Bartlesville place.
Yes, it's a big local place, and it's absolutely delicious. I really do love it. It's one of my favorite restaurants. And then our Walmart, actually, I believe that Walmart's a bigger employer in Bartlesville because we also have a distribution center, which is where they ship out a lot of their goods. So I actually believe that we are, our Taco
Really
Bell.
busy today.
Yep. So I actually believe that it may be a bigger employer than Phillips, though it would probably be pretty close because both of them are highly important in the Bartlesville economy.
Definitely.
Up here we have 3 water towers, and it says hot, warm, and cold. Some teens decided they wanted to, those teens.
Yeah, those pesky teenagers.
Yeah, some teens decided they were going to deface it and write stuff on it. I sound really old when I say deface. They spray painted those words on it, and that was years ago, and they ended up finding it funny, and so they put up
We are driving by Senior Salsa.
Oh, we are. Yeah, you're right. There's Senor Salsa.
Right
And
there.
on your right is the Burger King that probably gives everyone
Food poisoning.
yeah, food poisoning. And Brahms is over there, and one of your old employers.
And the old vet clinic that I worked at. I was an intern there for my senior year, and I worked there the summer after.
Yes, and I mentioned
That person just turned out really quick.
I mentioned a video in which there was a video that I talked about Brahms being a local thing. Definitely local. Bartlesville has 2.
It's regional. It's in Kansas and Texas.
That's what I was trying to say. It's not what came out, but it's what I was trying to say.
There's our little fruit stand. It's not open right now, but it has good peaches and blackberries.
As well as our shaved ice.
Yeah, DJs. I keep getting really awkward shots of your face. That sign that says Planet Fitness used to be, say, Eastland, which is where, like, the little shopping complex that we're in. And, of course, you stopped right where Planet Fitness was covered up.
Sorry.
So they built that and I guess bought the sign and just completely destroyed that little, like, Bartlesville landmark to advertise for themselves, which was kind of annoying, actually.
They probably paid big money.
Probably.
On our right are businesses that we don't want to look at because we don't support them. They are a restaurant and another place that you don't want to support. Kola Fitness started here, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly big fitness chain. Unfortunately, Planet Fitness decided to come right in the place that they were
Probably intentionally.
founded. And then right here we have Eastland 4, which I mentioned earlier. We had a movie theater. This was Eastland 4. It was like $1, $2 by the time I think they closed, maybe $3 even. But yeah, that's Eastland 4.
Okay, so there was Ocean China, which was a Chinese place that closed down.
It's pretty good.
I never went there.
To the right is our hospital.
Yeah, there's our hospital named Jane Phillips Hospital after the wife of Frank Phillips. So there's even more proof of how big they were. We on Frank Phillips earlier? I think we were on Adams earlier. This is Frank Phillips. I got
on I don't know.
We were on Adams.
I'm terrible at locations.
Well,
so here, this one's I'm gonna take the reins. You can tell any other story you
Oh, they
want.
moved in the U-Hauls.
But I'm gonna tell this story. So here is probably the saddest point in our journey. Let's not. It's the Hastings, the former building of Hastings. For a town that has absolutely nothing to do. I mean, we do have a bowling alley, which I didn't show you, and I can't think of anything else. Hastings was one place that really changed lives.
And by lives, he means mine and his. That's probably about it.
As you can see, books, music, video, and software. That was a weird one. I don't know why they put software on it. It was just a, like a vintage stock or a Barnes & Noble kind of store, but much more affordable than Barnes & Noble. It was definitely it had a lot of used stuff. And we got a ton of great stuff there. That's where I first started my music collection. And it's one of those things, if anyone's ever seen Tom's video where he talks about the closing of Skips, the effect that the closing of Skips had on him is the same that the closing of Hastings has on me. It was very important to my childhood. I went there all the time, and it's where I feel like a lot of the things I picked up on a whim there are the things that kind of ended up defining me, both music and books and TV and whatever. And it's very sad to still see everything there when nothing's been there for...
It was, what, sophomore year?
4 years. Yeah, 4 years, almost 5, because it was early sophomore year.
No,
so.
because we went all the time, so it would have been early junior year then.
Oh, okay.
We went there at least once.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we went there at least once every single week. At least.
I loved it. And
it was great.
yeah, it was a really good store. It was a real good lifeline for teens, just to have something to do. Because, I mean, and it sounds lame, like, who would actually go there? But I knew a lot of people that would go there, and that maybe they were just the crowd that wouldn't be, like, the kind that would be getting in trouble or whatever. So, like, whatever, maybe it wasn't actually that important. But because obviously, like, people like me and Alyssa who would go there a lot weren't the kind that would have taken up drugs otherwise. Yeah, it was a really important part of our childhood. Lots of great stuff there. I remember going with my grandpa. He used to take me sometimes and let me get a couple things. He usually set some kind of limit, and then we would just go, and I'd take hours. He'd sit in a chair and let me take as long as I wanted. Him and my grandma. They'd both take me, and they'd just let me take as long as I'd need. And so I'd come back to them with a pile of like 20 things. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking about. And I'd talk to them, and they'd like help me weigh out the pros and cons of each object. In a very unbiased way, like they were never trying to push anything on me, which sounds really dumb, but it's one of those things that like you don't necessarily know to appreciate. But as a kid, I knew that was important. Because they always just wanted me to get what I wanted, and never were condescending and like, this thing's stupid. I used to be, as people know, because my channel name is based off of Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to be a pretty big Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, but they never would act like Yu-Gi-Oh! Was stupid and I shouldn't waste my money on it. They just sometimes encourage other things because I just recently bought Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. But yeah, some good memories, and I really appreciate my grandparents for that.
Okay, so we're nice face. We're coming up on a little area that there's a Chinese restaurant, and there's our IHOP, and there's a couple of hotels, but our bowling alley is back there.
Red Apple.
Red Apple. It's that red building right behind Subway.
We have a pizza place I really love, Simple Simon's. I don't know if it's a chain. I've never known.
I think it's a small one.
And there was La Fiesta back there. And then Sonic, the second Sonic in town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, Sonic.
The original Sonic. Sorry, they're in Bartlesville.
Yeah.
The original Sonic in Bartlesville is what I meant.
Original.
That's what I meant to say.
Stillwater has the first Sonic.
Yes.
But Sonic is a staple in every young kid in Bartlesville's life.
Yes.
Right here is the newspaper, and that is actually where I also work. I've worked there for quite a while writing reviews. Look me up. Yeah, I write reviews bi-weekly. Can't say they're always great because, as I mentioned, the passion that I had kind of disappeared.
That's my old neighborhood. Just a little. We were passing it.
The passion I had for writing and articles definitely subsided, as everyone knows, since I stopped doing music reviews in general. But yeah, so I still write for it. And now we are getting a sweet treat at the end of our trip at Jared's Frozen Custard. Yeah, we're gonna get some
frozen custard.
Yeah, some sweet treats. So that's the end of the video. That's Bartlesville. Thanks for joining me.
You're
Even
welcome.
though now it's our channel, so you didn't join me.
No.
We joined each other.
Yep. And I've lived here longer, so.
So, thank you all for watching. Of course, it always means a lot to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we might have something exciting coming your way soon. So, if you are interested in this more slice of life style and video, I'd stick around. So, see you guys later.